Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. Prepare for takeoff.
You're now listening to Stebner Show.
You know, when you hear that sound, that's official that we've started the show. Filisha Jones, welcome.
What's
AKA
up?
Miss Rockstar.
What's
I'm
up?
so excited for you to be here because you and I are friends. We go back a long way, but you dropped an album.
Yes, I did.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Rockstar is here. We're going to talk about your album, talk about your biography, how you got all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast, and what inspired you to do all of that. But before we get into that, I wanted to just give a little sample. Like, I miss the days of going to the record stores and just listening to music. Like, listen to this. Now, for everybody listening, scrutinizing whether we have copyright or not, the copyright on this song is FEJ Records.
Yes, FEJ Records.
That sounds like your initials.
It is. Wow, you like cracked the code right away. It's my initials, FEJ.
Yo, this is as soon as I heard this music, it transported me to a different spot. It just makes me wanna Ladies and gentlemen, Filisha Jones, Miss Rockstar, aka FJ Records. Yo, welcome to Stebner Show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I'm excited for you to be here because, you know, this show I do because I really like tapping into the elixir of creativity. And what I've discovered in talking to people is that we always find a way to have a well-explored life using creativity.
I agree.
So, you're a creative person, Filisha Jones. Let's talk about your album real quick. I did this morning walk the other day listening to the whole album. Rockstar's House, Y2K, or Y2K2.
Y2K2. I know it's a lot, but there's, you know,
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. It's Y2K2, the Tove in the Meadow.
What does that mean?
So I'm glad you asked. So Y2K2, the Tove in the Meadow, it represents Rockstar's House because Rockstar's House is the beginning of all of my house albums. So each one is like a subdivision of Miss Rockstar's House. Y2K2 is the first album, the first volume. It took me about 8 years to make, and it means a lot to me. So the name is very interesting because I was out with my little niece, my little big niece, and her name is Tove. Well, her name is Tova, and I call her Tove. That's always been my little nickname for her. And then I have another member of my family. She identifies as Meadow. So anytime when Tova and Meadow would get together, there was always a show. And I used to watch them when they were kids. That's my West Coast family. And when I would watch them, they would always have like a show going on. And Tove and Meadow would be the singers and the writers. My other niece, she would be the director and get all the kids ready. And the guys would do the beatboxing, or they just, you know, the boys did their own little part. So I was hanging out with my niece Tova, and she and one of my friends, we were at a store going clothes shopping, and they kept on saying Y2K, Y2K, and I'm like, is that a band or something? Like, what? Why do you guys keep saying that? It sounds familiar. So they're like, hello, Y2K, you were there, year 2000. I was like, oh my God.
Wait, was that when she was born?
No, actually, oh my God, I think she was born around 98, 99. Oh my God. Oh my God, I think so. No. She's older than that. But she's around that era. She, you know.
That jog your memory, Filisha?
Yes. So I looked around and I was like, wait a minute. I got this in high school. Oh my God, I remember that. Oh, that's my shirt. What? And I was just like, oh, it was like, yeah. So I said, if I ever come up with an album, I'm gonna name it Y2K. And then since it was the year 2022 and all this happened, I was like Y2K2. So the original, I was supposed to release it on 2/22/22, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, that was a while back.
That didn't happen. It wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. And I was like, something's missing. Like, I can't put this album out. Something's not right. There's something missing. And then, you know, I see Meadow all the time, and I'm really proud of Meadow and what Meadow's doing. And I said, that's what's missing. They're a team. You can't have one without the other. So it was Y2K2, the Tove and the Meadow, because Tove and Meadow are always together. They're like cousin twins.
And how did they feel when they saw that you named your album after them?
Well, I had told Tova. I didn't let Meadow know, but I kind of felt like I'd let it be a surprise for them, because I wasn't gonna change the name whether they said yes or no. You know,
Got it.
they're both very heavy, upcoming in the industry with their voices and their art, and they're so beautiful. And I hope they're not upset, but I don't think they will be. I think they'll be more honored that I chose them for my first, big project.
And what kind of music is this? Just for someone that doesn't have access to your music, how would you describe the music in this album?
I love that question. I personally describe it as a little bit of house ranging from the years of 99, 2000 to the year 2023. So there's different types of house. There's deep house in there. Then you got a little bit of like that dance house. Then you have the slower house and the certain melodies where you can actually meditate to.
Whoa.
So I would describe it as something that could relate to at least every person that listens to it, because there's so many years.
Oh, this one's like, this one's called Hendrix Vin Jones.
Yes.
And how did you actually end up crystallizing the idea that you were going to make this album?
I started dipping into music maybe 9 years ago, but I've always had it since I was a kid. It was one of those things, like I played the drums. That was my first instrument ever. And I just, I don't know. It just kind of came together. I would always write in my journals about how I knew I was going to create something. I would just, you don't really know when you're doing something, but then when it all comes together, it's like, oh, it makes sense.
Right.
It makes sense why I bought this. My first synthesizer, I didn't even know what it was. I just saw it, and the guy sold it to me for like $50. Now that I know how much they go for, I'm like, oh, that was a sign, and
Right.
my first synth, I kept it in the box. Like, I don't know, like 6 months before I knew what it was. And
where can people actually find your album?
everywhere, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube Music, what is it, like Deezer, all these cool little platforms that I'm still learning about, but pretty much everywhere.
And what's been the response like from people, like, once they hear your music? I mean,
My favorite is when people say, oh, your music made me want to dance. Oh, your music, I was in a sad mood and I heard your song and it helped me get through it. Because when I make the songs, I don't know how other people are going to feel, but I know when I'm actually making the song, sometimes those are the vibes that I'm going through. So to hear when people say, oh, that made me dance, or, oh, your song made me meditate, I'm like, yeah, that's what I was thinking about when I was putting that song through. So that just goes to show what I was thinking, and when I was manifesting, when I was creating some of this music, is actually being like received by the audience, which I really love that.
that's amazing. And how long did it take you for you to make this album?
I started it in 2016, 17, I think.
Also,
Yeah.
you've been on a journey with it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And did you have a whole catalog of songs that you had to like weed through, or were you always specifically working on these songs?
I've been working on off and on for a while, but then it's like once the song is done, you got to let it go. You got to release it, because you'll just keep going back and finding imperfections that nobody has even heard yet. So with this album, like the first couple of songs, those were my first songs, like Blue Moon. The very first song, it comes out like doom, like that bass, like it's like I'm ready, you know. And then with Hendrix, Ben Jones, that's something that I made like 2 years ago, you know. And I made it when I went to New York. I was just, you know, on my grind and just, hey, you know, my little traveling thing. And I went to my spot in New York, at my studio there too. And I just made this song real quick. And then I was like, I'm getting better at making things fast. And I learned how to be more confident in what I'm hearing, what I'm feeling when I make something. I stopped second guessing myself because there's all kind of rules to music. But I've learned that people like my music and it's not like how it's supposed to be, like, how do I say it? In order. You know what I mean? Like, you know how they say, like, with film, like, you have to have it like this, and the time frame, and this, and 30 seconds before that, and clapping, and all that stuff. I always told myself that with music, it's inside of the person who created it, so it's never going to be wrong. It's only wrong if I put that, you know, imperfection out into the universe. And if I say, hey, on this second and this on this song, this is messed up, you're gonna focus on that.
Right. You gotta listen to the music within yourself.
Right. That was my biggest thing with putting this album out and why it took so long was because each song has a different spirit, a different energy, a different love to it. I went through something to create it.
Now that the album is out and people are starting to listen, what's your takeaway now that you released your baby out to be judged?
I'm ready for the constructive criticism because I'm already making new music. So not everybody's gonna like everything, but I feel like you can hear what I'm saying without any lyrics. This album.
That's right. It's all instrumentals,
instrumental.
Right?
I think the only song that actually has my vocals is Blue Moon. Yeah.
Oh, is that you? Being all angelic?
No, that's definitely the keys.
I am not a singer.
Yeah, I gotta come in like on fire.
Yeah, this right here, this bass line just, I feel like I'm in a movie, like something's about to go down.
Yeah,
something.
me.
We're here in a world where one woman creates her own album and a French bulldog get coffee in Los Feliz. This summer, Filisha Jones as Miss Rockstar, aka Miss Jones 3000.
I like Miss Jones 3000.
Let's talk about Miss Jones 3000. Why? Tell the people why I call you Miss Jones 3000.
Okay, this is my side of the story. So what I love,
it's the only side that matters.
No, yours does too, but I think it kind of goes into it. So the thing I love about hanging out with Mr. Stubner over here is it's always an adventure. It's always, I always have a good time. I always leave smiling. My face is hurting. And we don't get to hang out all the time, but when we do, I love it. It's like I said, it's it's always an experience. The thing I love about you is you always push me. You're always like secretly like, and I'm like, oh, stop that. I need that, you know? So that night, we didn't even really know. I think my memory's a little off, but I know we had plans to do something. And you said, hey, I'll figure it out. And you're always trying to think of something fun. You're always out of the box. It's not like the traditional, let's get dinner in the movie. It's like, hey, if we're going to get a movie, we're going to have fun in the movie. And I'm going to wear my hat. Or like, you know? So, and so I love this story. He said...
We ended up at an open mic.
Yeah, he said, we're going to go, would you do comedy? And I said, yeah, let's do it. He goes, okay. Then I'm running late. And he goes, don't worry, I put your name in the hat. And he goes, I put your name in the hat as Miss Jones 3000. I put my name. I said, I'm like, Miss Jones 3000? I like that, you know? And I didn't think they was going to pick my name. I was just sitting there waiting, and we're going all everything. And then they said, Miss Jones 3000. I was like, oh, that's me.
That's right. And get some royalties off of that.
So I do like Miss Jones 3000.
That's how I have you, like, your name programmed in my phone, Miss Jones 3000. Even right here, Miss Jones 3000.
Oh my goodness! and it's funny I didn't see it before, but yeah,
That's my
it's
schedule.
right
This is what I'm doing. These are my ideas.
I love it.
I know. Nobody's here. It's just us. So yeah, Miss Jones 3000. They call your name. You get on stage. You do comedy.
Yeah, I did.
You were
comedy.
funny.
Yeah, I did my skit. I think on like Weave or something, and like something else. I can't remember the other thing, but I knew it was about Weave.
Wait, weed?
Weave.
Oh, weave.
Weave. Hair and weave. I don't know. I think I was talking about how like that was the era when girls started rocking it like down to their ankles or their kneecaps.
You work in hair, right? Like,
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about your mohawk hair. That was like the first thing I ever noticed of you when I met you out in the world. Can't really tell people where we met because, you know, I don't want to. That's like the secret part of my life.
Yeah, it's like the secret sauce.
But I remember you had that mohawk. You have it still. What is it about this mohawk? Like, why is it that you rock this mohawk here?
I know it sounds cliche, but like ever since I was a kid, I always wanted a mohawk. All the cool kids. No girls had mohawks, but all the boys, you know, they always had the cool hair, and you know, everybody was friends with the kid with the mohawk for some strange reason. Like,
Yeah, there's a rebellious rock star factor to it.
Yeah, it's like
It was defiant.
Yeah, and
Are you defiant?
sometimes. Mess with me. No, no, but the mohawk is interesting because I started growing the mohawk in, let's see, it was over 10 years ago. I always said I wanted it. And I remember I used to have long hair, you know, the blowouts every weekend, washing set.
Wrong sound. There we go. This is a sound. Let's check it again. Let's take it again.
No, you should put that. You should put all that in there because it's funny.
Let's cut to her face. Here comes Filisha in her mohawk. Defiance. Earlier you were mentioning New York. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
New Bedford,
Did I
Massachusetts.
pronounce that right?
Yeah.
Massachusetts?
Yeah. And most people don't know how to say it right. They go, what? Massachusetts? Massachusetts?
I remember that was the first thing I noticed about you is you didn't sound like anybody I knew. Like you sounded very different. Like when I first heard you speak, I was like, "Where you from?" What's up with that hard R? It's like
Burger.
go Yankees.
No. Wait, I have nothing against it. I don't want. Listen, don't worry to kill me already. I have nothing against Yankees fans. I actually like the Yankees, but I'm a Red Sox fan all day. I'm sorry. Sorry. I went to those games. I was,
Fenway.
yeah.
Well, I like being like on opposing teams with my friends. It makes things more interesting. So you grew up in Massachusetts, and what was it like growing up there?
Ooh, very interesting. Well, I can say that I'm glad that I grew up in New Bedford, Massachusetts, because it made me have the mindset of being who I am today, where it's that hustle. It's a small town. Everybody knows everybody. And even though there'll be rivalries between people, we all stick together in the weirdest way. I can be like, I don't like that person. And then something could happen to that person. And I'm like, wait, what happened to them again? Hold on, what do they need? It's like when it's home. And that's how all homes are usually. You don't realize it until you're away from home how thick people could be from home. I know I see the community that I grew up looking up to, and they're still promoting shows. One of them, he's selling cars. A couple of girls that I grew up with and went to high school with, they have their own, they own restaurants, family-oriented. There's a lot of family-oriented things. There's a big Cape Verdean and Portuguese community, which I'm neither. It's culture, but they have really great food. I learned how to speak Spanish there, a little bit of Portuguese
¿Hablas
there.
español?
Un poquito español. Un poquito
¿Qué es
habla.
tu palabra favorita en español?
Amor.
Amor.
Mi amor.
Hey.
Love. Yeah.
Did you know you wanted to be an artist when you were a kid?
Yes, I did.
What was that like? What was that discovery where you were? What was that like? Were you just? Did it strike like lightning, or was it like a slow burn?
When I was a kid, we had a project, and they said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said, "A singer." And the teacher said, "No, can you pick something else, because that's not a job. That's more of a hobby."
What?
And I said, and mind you, I was originally born in New Jersey, so like moving from Jersey to Massachusetts, it was a blur because I was really young, but I do remember these stories because they were my first experiences in schools in Massachusetts. So then I said, well, I'm going to be a hairdresser. And they said, by the time you're that age, it's going to be a very saturated industry and you might not make money from that. The sad thing is that still goes on today with teachers. Teachers have a lot of power of influence on children and what they're learning and absorbing. So if I was a weak-minded person back then, I probably wouldn't be sitting right in front of you.
So growing up in Massachusetts, in Jersey, you found yourself in discouraging environments.
Yeah, but when you're that young, you're not thinking like, you don't have your mental is not thinking like that yet. You're thinking, oh, okay. So then I said, I'm going to be a nurse. And I used to draw pictures of being a nurse and all that. But deep down, I was like, no, I want to do hair. That's that rebel side. Like, no.
Did you ever study nursing though?
No, not even close. No. Yeah. Yeah, no.
Don't.
No, I mean, if I really had to, like, if I was a mom, I'd be like, yeah, you know what, let me do this because I'm not going to, at least I know what's going on. But that's not that, this is not that chapter.
All right, so for the end of the world, the apocalypse, don't expect Filisha to nurse you back to health, but be there to provide a wonderful soundtrack.
I mean, yeah, I have like EMT and basic medical training and stuff like that, but nursing is a whole nother ballgame. I mean, I give nurses and doctors a lot of props and credits. I mean, I used to be a police dispatcher. I was a police cadet for 5 years, so I...
Wait, what?
Yeah.
You were a cop?
Almost.
You were police academy?
No. No, I was a cadet.
That's what I'm saying. You're in police academy.
Well, I wouldn't really call it an academy, but yes, it's kind of because they basically train you.
Wait, let's take it.
No,
we gotta
sorry.
all right. Just,
that's another podcast.
We can do the rapid, fast elevator pitch. How do you go from being a student, wanting to be a hairdresser, singer, to being
wanted to be an officer?
To being a police cadet.
All those years ago, thank God I have like a good, like my mom and was very supportive of what we wanted to do. And she was a go-getter, so that rubbed off on me. So I remember just being a kid and being like, what do you mean I can't do hair? What do you mean singing? And I would draw pictures of me with a microphone with this big hair, like, you know. And now I'm, years and years later, I work for one of the biggest companies in the world doing hair. And I'm very successful at it. And I just released an album. So I know it sounds cliche, but you got to just keep doing what you wanted to do when you were a kid. Because if I did the nursing thing, I probably would be miserable and unhappy and all these things. But that's my art side.
Right. So people would be dying.
Nah, I believe it or not, I could save a life. Like
I believe you. I'm just saying.
I know,
like,
it's cute.
If you're miserable as a nurse, you're like,
yeah, no.
If I'm your patient, I don't stand a chance.
You know what? I'm not that selfish. If you want to be a nurse, that is for you. We need more nurses. It's just not in the cards for me in this lifetime. Maybe next lifetime in a stellar. I can.
All right, so you skip through the nursing. You end up a police cadet.
Yeah, so how the police cadet came on, so now we're fast forwarding because when that incident happened, I was in like kindergarten, first grade, the foundations. Went to, middle school and was always intrigued by forensics.
I got it right this time.
One of the first movies I was in middle school. I watched Faces of Death. I know, me and my twin and
why
my
you
older
watching
brother,
that in
because I
middle
wanted to do
school?
forensics.
Where are your parents?
Working. I wanted to do forensics.
Damn,
And
they didn't know how the VHS worked, huh?
hey, my older brother was like, hey, I got this movie. You want to watch it? It was Faces of Death. And I was like, oh, shit. Oh, no. Oh, wow. Like this. And then you know, a lot of that stuff. And it didn't traumatize me. Only, you know, I was like, I want to do forensics.
Dang, so you were like, yo, I want to be a cop.
Pretty much.
What was that experience like being a cadet?
Well, being a cadet was very interesting because I worked in the town that I answered phones in.
Did you actually graduate from being a cadet to being a real police officer?
No, I took the test. I took the test twice. Back then, you took the exam and you didn't find out your results until 10 months later.
Also, for like 10 months, you were on the mic.
You
Dispatching.
Yeah, you know what? I like how you put. I was always on the mic on some radio waves. Like, you know.
Yo, what did that sound like? Okay, like let's say, oh my God, something's happening. There's a burglar in my house. 911.
Like 911, the sign is being recorded. What is your emergency?
Oh my God, I'm on the side of the road. I just crashed the car, and I don't know what to do.
You crashed the car. Is there anybody injured? Are you injured?
I think I'm okay. I'm a little drunk, but I can't really tell.
What did you crash your car into? Did you crash your car into another car? Did you hit another pole? Did you
hit
hit
a
an
pole.
animal?
I hit a pole.
Did you hit a pole? Okay. Do you know did you look up? Is there any sparks flying? Is there any wires down?
No, I don't see any sparks.
No. Okay. So what is the condition of your car? Is it
Totaled.
on fire?
It's
Is it total?
totaled.
Is it smoking or anything?
Yeah, it's about to blow up.
It's about to blow up. All right, I'm going to need you to move away from the vehicle. Get out of the vehicle. Don't get anything. Don't go back. Don't be a hero. Just leave the vehicle. Get as far away from it as you can.
Damn, that's really good.
Yeah, and then I would go into what's your location. Do you know your location? Where are you? What highway are you on? Are you in front of a house? So basically, you have to be the eyes and the ears for the officer that's about to be on scene. They don't know what they're going into. So you have to get as much information as possible, like if you're the one going to that call. So you literally have to be the eyes of the officer. So if you don't have a good headspace to be a really good dispatcher or cadet, you really have to. It's a stressful job, and you literally have to leave stuff at home because it's not like a routine thing where every day you're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna sing this song 5 times. No, it's like you don't know what call. You can get a call like that. You can get a call where it's like, oh, the dog is barking. Yeah, okay, the dog is barking. Okay. We'll send the unit right over.
So
okay.
as a dispatcher, being on the mic all those years ago on the radio waves, right?
I like this.
Like, you must be really good over the phone. Do you ever employ those skills? And
If I know how to speak to somebody in a stressful environment, I'm going to be really nice to them because they probably dealt with like 10 people that were mean before I got on that phone. Someone was like, hey, how's it going?
So you're always looking to make a difference.
Yes, hey, how you doing? How's your day going? I'm gonna let you know right now, I am not that customer, and I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm gonna make you laugh. And they're like, oh, okay. Like, you know what I mean? Because they're automatic when I say I'm not that customer, they might think like, oh no, she's that customer. And I'm like, no, so I get calls like that. And working at that job, I started the job when I was like 19 turning 20, or I was already 20. And you can only be a cadet until you're 25.
Oh, wow.
So the first time I took the exam, I failed by 1 point. I got a 69, passing grade was 70. You would. But it was so funny because I was mad and I was devastated and I cried. And I said, I'm going to study my ass off and I'm going to take the test again and I'm going to get 100.
And boom.
Yeah.
Now you're in the mic, in the booth, dispatching lyrics and beats. So the big move. Let's talk about the big move from the East Coast to the West Coast, right? You're no longer a student. You're no longer a cadet. What was it? The move. What was it about California that you wanted to come here?
So it's funny because working at the police station does coincide with the move.
Oh.
So once I took that test and I got a 99, I had 5 preferences and I wasn't hired. And back then, the young Filisha, didn't understand there was so many questions and things going on in my head because I worked so hard for 5 years to be to achieve that goal of being an officer because that's something that I always wanted to do. I really did always want to do that in the back of my mind. And I've always wanted to help people be a female positive role model because on the force there wasn't that many female. So when you get a domestic violence call, they're going to want to see a female, especially if it's a male-dominated domestic abuser, you know?
Right. Most of the domestic violence are men.
Right.
I don't have the metrics, but I'm guessing it's...
Right. That's a reported because there are, believe it or not, I feel like it's equal both ways. I feel like it goes both ways, but only women report. It's this world, it's women versus defendants. That was the first thing I learned when I was in training. I don't know how it is now, but it's really women versus defendants. And there are women that really are going through it. I know.
And this is only what's reported. Like there's stuff that doesn't.
There's stuff that doesn't even get reported. There's stuff that they report, and then like I said, it's both sexes. So I'm just using this one as an example.
Right.
So for me, it just helped me in my lifestyles with all my life, being that young and being like trained in the mindset to be able to talk somebody down from suicide, to be able to talk somebody that has mental health issues. Like at a young age, I was trained to do like hostage negotiation trainings, suicide prevention trainings, all these crazy things that I was working towards. Maybe wasn't supposed to be for that department or for that type of leadership. Now with my music and stuff like that, and with my life experiences with traveling the world, literally, if I didn't work at that job, I wouldn't be able to have the eyes. I wouldn't be able to use like all my senses to be able to protect myself in certain environments. So it was literally a blessing in disguise. But at that time, I just think the way how it was communicated, it wasn't thorough. So it left me thinking that there was something wrong with me, when now being an adult, I'm like, you know what? It just wasn't meant for me at that time. And I had something way bigger in my life that I needed to be there, like here, which makes me, when I didn't get hired and I wasn't able to get like my interview process right, or I didn't even get a chance to do the physical side, like the physical part of the test, I would have passed. I was always physical fit. Like you had to pass, like you had to jump like a 5-foot wall. I would have done that like nothing.
So you had to jump over me.
Yeah, pretty much. And I could. I probably still can back then. I worked hard because I was like, if I don't make this part, at least let me go through all the way.
So how'd you make the jump from East Coast police life to...
So once they didn't hire me, and I already kind of knew that at that age, I was 24, about to turn 25, and I already knew working in that type of environment with all of their training that they gave me, you learn body language, you learn vocals, you learn how people speak to you, you learn eye contact, you learn all these things. And the body movement wasn't there, the eye contact wasn't there. Not that it was a bad thing, but at the time I took it really personal because I didn't know. And now being an adult, I'm like, no, the chief knows his staff. Just like I was a business owner, I know my staff. So there's certain things that I'm like, oh, it makes sense.
Right, of course.
And it wasn't a dig. It was like even when I see hairstylists that are better outside of where they are, I'm like, hey, maybe you should try this. Maybe you should try that. So when I had my exit interview, the chief was like, well, this job isn't for you. And I was like, what do you mean? But then as I got older, I remember one thing he said to me that day. He goes, you should be a lawyer. And I took that personal, but now as an adult, I'm like, oh, that's a compliment because he's a lawyer. So that means he sees me above the system. But I had to go through these laps and lifestyle and travel and life experience for me to hear what he was saying that day when I went for my exit interview. And it was the best decision that was ever made. That man saved my life. He really did when I look back. So when they didn't hire me, I took all my money on my 401k, all that. I packed all my stuff up, got a U-Haul, and I drove to California. My exit interview was in July, I think, and I was packed up and driving by August 1st, and I was on the East Coast by August 7th.
On the West Coast, baby?
Yeah, West Coast. So I drove. As soon as I knew that wasn't for me, I dipped. There was no reason to try to fight. There was no reason to try to be like convincing or any of that. I took it as an opportunity to do what I really wanted to do, which was hair.
Right.
Then that's when I went to school. Paid for my own stuff, drove out, and that's like not too long after that, I just did my thing and went to school, learned my trade, graduated, moved back to the East Coast, opened up a salon, used my skills, made money off West Coast styles, and then moved back in 2014 to California, and that's when I met you, and that was when I went to school for film. So
here you are, picking up all these skills, all these different practices, and the journey from the cadet to Miss Rockstar. Like, let's get to that. Let's tell me about what was it that really propelled you out of working in hair, out of working in film, that you said, you know what, I got main character vibes. I'm going to do this.
I was living in Pasadena, and I just went through this like transition. I can't really remember exactly what it was that snapped, that woke me up, but I've done hair a long time, off and on with cadet and all that stuff. I've done it my whole life. I just was like, what if something happens to me where I can't do hair anymore? What am I gonna fall back on? I don't want to be a dispatcher. I don't want to be in a closed space here, and I could do it if I really wanted to. That's not what I want to do.
Man.
I don't want to do any of these things, and I write a lot. I write a lot of poetry. I write a lot of songs and short stories and scripts, and that synthesizer was just looking at me,
The $50 one?
Yeah. And one day I didn't realize that I can just plug it into the computer. So I plugged it in, and then...
And Miss Rockstar was born.
Yeah, I was like, oh, and then they said, oh, Ableton. And I heard of Ableton before, and I was like, Ableton? When I was in school, they talked about Pro Tools and all this stuff. Oh, let me just download that.
Because I remember your early works. I remember you were sending me videos, 7 days, and then your SoundCloud. You had your SoundCloud. But then now we're here at this. Is this your first album?
No. Ooh. It's not. It's my first... It's my first album that I released on my own. Like, all my stuff. There's no co-creators.
Got it.
In this one. My first album is You Don't Want That Smoke. That was like a real quick. That was fun. You Don't Want That Smoke. You Don't Want That Smoke is fun. It was fun. That's the first album that has all my vocals. Like, I make beats, and Blue Moon is the first song that I actually put my vocal on myself on my own tracks. I said, if there's gonna be somebody, it's gonna be me first.
Right, of course.
I don't want nobody owning the rights to my voice. You don't own me.
That's right.
So with the album You Don't Want That Smoke, that was actually out 7/11/22. So yeah, last year. July 11th, I released it, and I made that one with my producer.
Is that one available out in public? Oh my God.
Yeah.
What's that one called?
You Don't Want That Smoke.
You Don't Want That Smoke.
You Don't Want That Smoke. And that one was just like basically a really cool freestyle album. It was a project. He said, hey, he played some beats. I was like, hey, let's do it.
Give us a little acapella sample. What was that? It was like if you're like at a party, you'd be like, someone was like, yo, what does it sound like?
What do you mean, like a song or
yeah. Give us a little sample. Like, what can people hear out of it?
You're listening to me as I'm making my money, 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 money. Tell me something that I don't know. I'm over here making a lot of dough, a lot of dough, lot of dough. Solo necesito mi dinero.
And what was it? What was the transition from working on an album with vocals to no vocals?
I had to learn, since it was freestyled and then it was produced and cut to a song. I had to learn how to like sing my own lyrics to my own stuff, but I already knew it because I said it. Whereas with the beats, I just go somewhere, and at least with the vocals, I can hear it and be like, oh yeah, I said that before. With the instrumentals, I get so like in this beautiful realm of somewhere that I'll hear a song that I did, or when I go back to pick songs for albums or singles, I'm like, who made this? What was I going through? Like, I made this? I have to question it. Like, I made this. What was I like? I don't even remember. So I feel like when I make beats, I'm more spiritually free. Where with lyrics, they either just come off the dome and I freestyle. That's my specialty. You know that. I love freestyling stuff. So it's kind of cool that people can take my voice and use that production side of it, and and I can collab with somebody, how somebody hears my vocals with their beats, and it's like a baby.
I love freestyling. I think it's one of the greatest art forms. How would you freestyle this song?
Hi, how are you today? I'm writing you this letter 'cause I'm ready for you to find me, to find me, to find me. Yeah, I'm saying hi, how are you today? I'm writing you this letter 'cause I'm ready for you to find me, to find me, to find me. Yeah, 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 yeah.
All right, that's amazing. That's amazing. And for anyone listening to copyright stuff, that is a Filisha Jones original. Yo, thank you for freestyling for us. I think that's amazing. I love creativity. I think it's one of the greatest things that you do. Creativity for me is something super special. And not only do you do things as a creative person for yourself, but you are also very plugged into the community. Let's talk about Women Wednesday.
Yes, Women's Wednesday. Oh, wow. Women's Wednesdays.
Let's check out this flyer here. Let's see what this flyer. Tell me what this flyer says. Tell me what this flyer says in your dispatching voice.
So Women's Wednesdays is my baby. It is my child. I created Women's Wednesdays in 2017. Women's Wednesdays was thought about when I was literally a police cadet still. So it wasn't called Women's Wednesdays back then, but I always knew that I wanted to host an event where females could just speak their mind and have a good time. When I lived on the East Coast, there was this place that we would always go to, and it was like a ladies' night type of thing. And there was everybody was going there, guys, girls, everybody went, but everybody knew, if you wanted a girl or you knew there was women there. It wasn't like how it is now. Or no, you knew it was gonna be a good time. There was a good female DJ. She played all the good music. Everybody was dancing and sweating as they should in the club. And I used to always be like, I'm going to host a night like that. I'm going to host a night where I want people to have that same experience. Yeah, remember that song? Remember the dancing, So Women's Wednesdays, when I came to LA, I would do open mics and stuff like that. And I would battle guys in rap battles and stuff like that. Yeah, it's all on Instagram. It's all real life. I even did one the other day when I was...
You would battle guys on Women Wednesdays?
No, I would battle guys... But this was before Women's Wednesdays. But
on Human Tuesdays.
Yeah, on Human Tuesdays, I would battle. There would be open mic, and there was always men out there, and I'd just be like, hey, and I'd just, freestyle and spit on the mic, and the guys they would show me love. But there was this one particular show that I got booked for, and I didn't even really know. The guy was like, hey, you look like you know how to sing. Come up there. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So when I went up there, I went to the venue, and he wasn't there. And I was like, well, I'm early. So the guy was so late. There was a couple of people doing some open mic stuff. And one of the girls that I went with, she goes, go up there. There's nobody else. Please save us. And I'm like, I'm not going up there. No, I'm scared. No, I'm not going up there.
Damn.
So I went up there and I freestyled, and everybody liked it. My beat was the audience, slapping, tables, and I just did it. And you never know who's in the crowd. So I went up there, And when I started getting the crowd going, the host of the show walked by and tried taking the mic.
What?
And I was like, and I was still freestyling. I was like, you was late. CPT time. You're lucky that I'm here getting your crew ready for your time. You know what I'm saying? And it was just so easy. And everybody was like, yeah, because they knew what he was trying to do. You're not going to be late and then try to steal my time because you're late on CPT time.
What is that, Central Pacific time?
No, that is color people time.
Oh. You said it, not me.
I can say it though. He was on CPT
I assumed
time.
that was Central Pacific time or something. Like,
I should say
I think
that.
it's called
though.
Mountain Time.
Mountain time.
Yeah, I'm a Mountain Time.
I'm an East Coast time. No, what do they call it? Standard. No, standard East Coast time. But yeah, so I didn't like that. And I didn't like embarrass myself or nothing. I just, like I said, I freestyled it out. And then I started talking to other female artists, and come to find out I wasn't the only one that either got my set time cut, or the light flashed on me before the 3 or 5 minutes to get off the stage and stuff like that. And I started noticing that they do that, but men will be up there rapping and freestyling and stealing time from other people, just being selfish with time. And other MCs that hold shows would say that, like, no, you got to be respectful of other people's time. So I said, I'm going to come up with an event that only a female can really be on the microphone, and nobody can take that moment for her. So that's where Women's Wednesdays came, and it's let's hear what she has to say, meaning like we're not going to suppress. If you got something to say, you're going to say it. And it's not your turn on the microphone, so you really can't say anything.
So if I'm in the audience at your event, what's the range of work that I'm seeing?
You're seeing anywhere from live music, live bands, to somebody doing poetry, comedy, open mic, spoken word, anything. But I switched it up a little bit.
And when's the next one?
The next one is on September 6th.
Hey, this is when this drops. This episode is going to drop the same day.
The same day as Women's Wednesday. So I'm sorry I kind of dragged this up. But basically, yes, so Women's Wednesday is Hollywood. That's where my location is now. It used to be in Pasadena. I was in Pasadena for about, 2 years, I think, doing Women's Wednesdays. And my first show, I remember there was a few people, and then it went from that to like my last show. It was so packed. There was people outside like waiting to get in. They had a backpack.
And where is it at right now?
This one's in Hollywood now, so I stepped my game up.
Daddy Diamonds.
It's at Daddy Diamonds on Cahuenga, right on the corner of Cahuenga and Selma, across from Trios Tacos and Third Base. Just saying.
So many innuendos in there.
Just saying. And then, MMD, the little wee spot is right down the street, 420 friendly down the street.
Right. And are you going to be performing some of your music that day? Are you going to be, what's happening?
I am performing my music, and I'm really excited because I did put a lot of energy into this show. As you can see, the flyer has my little QR code on there.
Yes.
So you could just scan it. If you see it, you see it on the wall, you're like, oh, Miss Rockstar, let me scan it. And then my Instagram profile for Miss Rockstar comes up.
Nice.
And I also did that so people can tag. And I don't have time to be like, hey, add me, Miss. No, scan it. It's easy. It's,
That's amazing. And that's amazing that they can find you with a QR code. What's the actual Instagram handle? Just so that our listeners can like.
Miss Rockstar. So it's MISS.ROCK.STAR.
Miss Rockstar. With a new album, you got a live event, Women Wednesdays. Anything else you'd like to add before we close? What did I miss? Anything that I missed? Anything you'd like to say before we sign off with the day?
I just want to say that this interview has a lot of content and a lot of information about me in such a short amount of time, but those are my main focuses in my life that I've been through. Like, I can go on and on. There's so many things we'll have to do, like so many other podcasts, but I just want to say that don't let anybody ever try to steal your passion or whatever that is, because if I listened to that teacher that told me I wasn't going to do hair or music, I would have probably been a nurse, or, would have probably been a cop, because the mindset of police officer and
you would have been programmed.
And that's what it really comes down to is there are certain people that are built to be programmed, and we need those people to keep the world going. The industrial side of life needs those people, but then you also need people like us for them people to have an outlet to de-stress from music, art, all that stuff. I'm off. Oh, all that stuff. You need music, art, all that to de-stress. Because what's the first thing you do when you get in your car when you get out of work?
Listen to music.
You listen to music. Or when you get home, what's the first thing you do? You watch a movie or you watch TV. So
feed Lola.
Well, feed
I
Lola.
sing to Lola.
You have to. You have to sing to Lola.
My babies.
But those things, you need them both in order to make things work in life. And I just want to say, follow your dreams. If I even had somebody tell me that the flyer was ugly, obviously it's not that ugly, because I went to work and I showed them the flyer and they said, I've seen that before.
Nice.
And I'm like, this is Anaheim, this is Orange County. How did you see my flyer in Orange County? Which means it's out there.
You're creating outreach. Congratulations on your album. Congratulations on your event.
Yeah.
And I'll be tuning in, listening out for you.
Yeah, so don't forget, welcome to Women's Wednesdays Hollywood, September 6, 2023. Let's hear what she has to say. It's going to be at Daddy Diamonds at 1553 North Cuenca Boulevard, Los Angeles, California, 90028. Let's hear what she has to say. Be there or be square.
Miss Rockstar, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. AKA Filisha Jones, AKA
Miss Jones 3000.